Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All right.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All right. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in Iowa. That's right. Today it's the number one landscape lighting show in Iowa. So they say, I'm not really sure if that's true or not, but we're doing this, guys. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. I'm your host, Ryan Lee, here in Lehi, Utah, at the Landscape Lighting Secret Studios. And just really excited for today's show. If you are looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We got you there. And we're here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. So got a great show lined up. We've got Miss Christa Nichols with Wordy Mamas. And if you've ever wondered why certain people, have you ever seen, you follow someone online or you know about their success and you meet them in person, you're kind of like, what? They're not that special. They're just like a normal person, but that they are able to get so many downloads or views or whatever. One of the secrets to that is we're going to discover today is copywriting. It's what is copywriting? Well, stick around and you're going to find out what copywriting is and why it's so important to you as a business owner. And this one thing today is going to help you really grow your business quite a bit. So I'm excited to have her on in just a few minutes. So make sure you stick around. It's going to be a super valuable episode that not a lot of people know about, and definitely most people are not utilizing. So I'm excited to have her on in just a few minutes. Also, just want to remind you, I'm still not going to get mad if you give me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, even Spotify. That's fine. I don't really care. And I'll get even less mad at you if you write something really nice about me in those comments. I would really much appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for everyone who has. It's freaking awesome when you are doing this. And then you're like, hey, could you give me a review? And then someone does it. You know what that's like in your business, guys. So let the world of the law of attraction and law of reciprocity work for you. If you go do a good turn for me, chances are your clients are going to do it for you. So go hook me up, please. And also, guys, Landscape Lighting Live coming up just in a week. It is sold out, but I just want to remind you, get your name on the waiting list, because in a week, really soon, we're launching the new location, the time, all the details. So get your name on the waiting list at landscapelightinglive.com. Okay. Don't hesitate. I've got literally friends, they're friends. These are people that I know, like, and trust. And they're like, come on, man, get me in the back door. Hook me up. We're friends. We're homies, right? And I'm like, yes, but I'm I can't get 75 extra people into the event. And I don't want to pick favorites. Don't put me in that situation. Just go to landscapelightinglive.com, get your name on the waiting list. And then we don't have to have these awkward conversations and texts and stuff. All right. All right, guys, let's be honest. Were you really happy with the way your last job turned out? Was it okay, or do you think it was missing something? If I could drop a suggestion, mix it up. Do some A/B testing, okay? Give Emery Allen a try. They're confident you and your customers will be really happy with the final product. In fact, they have the lowest VA, highest CRI. They probably have the highest CRA too, but I don't know what that is. But they have the highest CRI and a better experience. That's what you're going to get with Emery Allen. So they offer a lot of different choices in wattage, color, beam spread, all this stuff that you need, and the expertise to back it all up. So just email Tom G at emeryallen.com. It's Tom Garber, but his email is tomg at emeryallen.com, and get your account set up today. And remember, they offer discounted contractor pricing. So email Tom G at emeryallen.com, and he'll hook you up. Don't forget to mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he'll make sure that you get the best possible pricing. So check them out. Don't go to their website either. You're wasting your time, because unless you like paying more money, you're like, I don't like saving money. I'm just going to go to their website. That's fine. Okay. So in just a couple of minutes, guys, we've got Christa Nichols, and I promise you, you're going to want to pay attention. You want to take notes because you're going to learn how to explode your business. Like these are the secrets that no one's really talking about. And normally I reserve it for like my in-person landscape lighting secrets, but we're doing it for everybody here on Lighting for Profit. So stick around. Christa Nichols coming on in just a couple minutes. But before we have her on, I want to share something real quick. Today, I was driving on the freeway, and the problem was I wasn't supposed to be driving on the freeway. I got on the frontage road to get off the frontage road to go get some Chick-fil-A, and I was on the phone, and I accidentally got on the freeway. And then I was on the freeway, and I was like, oh yeah, this is why you don't talk on the phone while you're driving, because I wasn't supposed to be on the freeway, because I was just supposed to get off the freeway. And then I was like, yeah, dang it. And it happened to be a section of highway where like there's not an exit for a while. And I was like, well, that sucks. But what are you gonna do? You just go to the next one and do a U-turn, right? So I decided, for whatever reason, normally I'm a fast lane driver, but I was like, well, I'm not going to get over 5 lanes when the exit's just right up here. But the exit just right up here was about 3 miles. And I was like, well, I don't know why this all just happened like randomly. I was like, I'm going to see if I can stay in the slow lane, which is like a big challenge for me, guys. Like, it's like, it's just not normal. Like I want to be in the fast lane and there's something pulling me over there. So I was like, I'm just going to stay in the slow lane. And there I was in the slow lane and just driving like really slow. And these people drive, it's like island time. It's like Hawaii time. Like they don't even know where they're going, and they don't know, there's no deadline. They just are driving, because they can. And I looked down, we're literally going 52 miles per hour. I was like, wow, 52. That's like, this is crazy. I feel like I can walk that fast. And I was like, I wanted to get over so bad, because I was like, it should just be right here. But I wasn't even at the like 1 mile, like till exit sign yet. I was like, man, I could just burn past these people, And I decided like, stick it out. Like I want to challenge and see if I can stay in the slow lane for 3 miles. And it was extremely difficult. I'm not lying. And normally, there's like 2 types of people. There's the fast laners like me, and then there's the slow laners like other people, which are crazy. I'm just like, what are you doing? But it was a really hard challenge. So here's what I want to bring up. I want to challenge everybody. If you're a fast laner, go drive 3 miles in the slow lane and just see what that does for you. See what happens with that experience. And if you're a slow lane driver, go over to the fast lane. But the rules are you have to do the rules of the other lane. So if you're slow lane and you go into fast lane, you can't drive 52. You have to speed up to 90. Like that's what happens, right? And the speed limit's 65, but they go 90. And here's why: because they justify it, and they're like, well, up here in like 20 miles, it goes to 75. And then right after, a few, like 50 miles later, it goes to 80. And I'm only going 90. That's only 10 over. But right here, they are going like 35 or 25 over, whatever. But you have to do this, okay? This is gonna be a weird experiment. But go in the fast lane if you're a slow laner, and go in the slow lane if you're a fast laner. And the reason this is important, you guys, is I learned a very valuable lesson. I was like, it's okay. There's multiple lanes. There's 5 lanes on this highway. It's okay if people are over here going slow. Do I want to do that with my life? No, not at all. Like it was driving me crazy. And if you're a slow laner and you go to the fast lane, you're not going to be comfortable either. You're going to hate it. You're going to feel like you're going to die, and you might die. So, sign the waiver. Like I didn't encourage you to do this. This was not a challenge endorsed by me. Like it's very dangerous, but try it and see what happens. Because what I want it to do is open up you to a new perspective that there's a lot of different ways to get to the same destination. Okay. And I'm okay. Like, even though I tell everyone they should be in the fast lane because it's awesome, and I like to go 90, like not everyone's going to do that. Okay. And so it's okay. There's multiple lanes, a lot of different ways to get there. Now, the real reason why I'm sharing this example with you is because lately there's in the landscape lighting industry, there's lots of different programs, associations, trainings, manufacturers, distributors, lots of different options. And people are asking questions like, who's going to AOLP? Who's going to ILI? Who's going to ELI? Is this a good program? Is it worth it? I can't go to all of them. I can only go to one. Which one should I go to? Like, people are trying to figure out what lane they want to be in, right? And we all know that you need to be in the fast lane, but there's going to be some people in the slow lane. That's okay. And that's what really my message. So I want to just give you a quick breakdown of the different events that are happening this year, different trainings. And I probably won't get them all, and I'll probably screw up who's putting them on or how they work or whatever. But I'm going to just give you my version, if that's okay. Okay, I want to just share that real quick with you. The first one that I was familiar with years ago was AOLP, Association of Outdoor Lighting Professionals. I never joined this association when I was running my business. I was like, I ain't going to that crap. I'm building a business, right? But I joined a few years ago. I've been to, I think, 2 or 3 of their conferences. So they basically exist to, help promote the industry and stuff like that. But their main thing is their annual conference where they offer certifications. So they have a certification called CLVLT, which is your certified low voltage lighting technician. I am certified in that. And I was like literally number, I don't know, I'm making the number up, but it was like 72 or something, 72nd CLVLT in the world, in the history of all time, which was pretty cool. And then they have another one, and that's all about technical, like how to wire a transformer, how to troubleshoot, like all the technical details of how to install a lighting system. Then they have another certification called COLD, COLD, Certified Outdoor Lighting Designer, where you're going to certify over lighting design, right? So it's less technical, just more about lighting design, how to prepare proposals and diagrams and stuff like that. So I have not done my COLD, so I'm not going to get into the details about it because I have not done it, but just letting you know what they offer. Okay. And then their conference is speakers and networking and stuff like that. And people just get drunk and it's crazy. So that one's coming up here soon in San Antonio. I'm going to be at that event. ILLI is the next one, International Landscape Lighting Institute. I had never even heard about this until a while ago, a couple of years ago, a few years ago, whatever. And it is a 5-day. It's called an intensive course, and it's intense. I mean, you're literally up from like 7 in the morning till midnight doing lighting design and discussions and coursework and out in the field and mess around with lights at night and all sorts of stuff. Get to experiment with a lot of different manufacturers. So that's one thing I appreciated about it, was getting out of my rut and getting, instead of just using one way, I learned lots of different ways to do certain things. Really opened my mind up to design. And what's cool is it's in person, right? So 5 days, really intense. I went last year as a member, and then I was invited back to be a mentor. Great program. Check them out. It happens usually at the spring and the fall, twice a year. There's 27 people that can go, and they have a mentor for every 3 people. So like I was on one of the mentor teams. There was 3 of us, 3 mentors for a 9-person team. Plus there was other support mentors. So it's really cool. You get to learn and network with some like awesome people. Jan Moyer started that, and she's usually there to speak and stuff like that. But she told me a while ago that that might be her last one type thing. So if you want to go, take advantage of that now. The next one is ELLI. So ELLI is Experiential Landscape Lighting Initiative, which is like, come on, Mark Carlson started this. Great guy. It's like, why'd you call it ELLI? It's so close to ILLI. That's the thing. So, but I took a class with ELLI, with Mark Carlson, and it was awesome. Again, opened my mind up to lighting design in a way that I'd never thought of before. And what's cool is he really defined a standard, instead of being like, oh, that house looks good, or that, and then someone else is like, really, I think it's too bright or whatever. Like, instead of just saying like lighting is objective, now it's subjective. And now it's like, no, like that is actually a bad lighting design. And here's why, because of these 5 things. Right. So the cool thing about that one is you get exposed to lighting design, and you don't have to travel. Like, it's all virtual, and they have online classes and stuff. So it's similar, I would say similar topics to ILLI, but it's online versus in person. So pros and cons between both. Obviously, in person is awesome, but costs more money, more time, stuff like that. So also highly, by the way, all of these I'm recommending you go to. And then we have Landscape Lighting Live, which save the best for last. Landscape Lighting Live. The reason I did live is because these other associations, these other programs that I've already mentioned, they don't teach the fundamentals. Okay. They don't teach the basics of how to install a transformer and do connections and all this stuff. AOLP has the certification, but they don't really have like the training for it. Right. So we started Landscape Lighting Live just to fill a void. Right. And so Landscape Lighting Live, we do the hands-on, like how to install, how to design, again, all the basics. I'm not trying to replace any of these other associations, just all the fundamentals in one place in person. And then day 2 is all the pricing, sales, marketing, which is kind of a highlight of my Landscape Lighting Secrets coaching program, right? So you learn in 2 days, like the technical stuff, the design and install, and then the next day is all business, pricing, sales, and all that. So those are kind of the 4 main ones. And then, of course, I got Landscape Lighting Secrets, which is my coaching program, which is more business. So we're all about profitability and helping you go from, instead of operating your business, owning your business. That would be kind of the 5th program, which, again, they're all good things. I don't think you have to pick one over the other, but there is an order. Like, I wouldn't recommend you if you're brand new to landscape lighting, the first thing I would not do is go to Illy. Illy is an amazing class. I highly recommend you do it, but you need some fundamental understanding and training and experience before you'll understand it and really have it make sense to you. And then just to mention some of these other ones as well, there's manufacturers that also have trainings, either their own customer trainings or open to all contractors, but they're sterling. They do an annual summit where they get into design and stuff. They get into business, they get into all of it, right? Then Garden Light has one similar thing, kind of going over their company, but also just business, right? Haven, they've got one coming up next soon in a few weeks. And they've got trainings throughout the year and stuff like that as well. And then Lumien's got one. I have not been to their customer summit. I'm actually speaking there this year, which will be cool. And my goal is to go to everything so I can kind of have my own opinion on things. So don't have enough time to give you opinions and the pros and cons of everything, but I just want to break down what each one is and what the purpose of each one is. So I haven't been to a bad event. I haven't been to a bad experience. So check them out. If you have questions, feel free to DM me as well. All right, guys, I'm done talking. I just want to get Christa on here because she's amazing and we're going to learn a lot. So if you guys are ready, let me know. I know I am. Let's get Christa coming in here. Let's find our intro music. You guys ready? What is up? What is up?
Hello.
How are you, Christa?
Good. How are you? It sounds like you're busy in the fast lane and the slow lane, trying new things.
I know. Maybe that should be like a life goal. Like if I could convert myself to a slow laner, just to do.
Yeah. So I am a little bit more of like the slow lane mentality. Like I want to do it well, and if that takes longer, so I would love to take a lesson from fast lane because I think done is better than perfect, right? So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
I know. Well, that's the thing. There's so many ways. There's multiple lanes. There's not a right and a wrong. And I truly believe in that. And I've just always been that guy who's just like, done is better than perfect, but then I can learn a lot from people like you. That's like, dude, slow down, like make it better, like do this. So I think there's definitely a compromise in there.
There is.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, and it makes sense. I mean, you're from Iowa, so I can't imagine that. Like, that's kind of like island time, isn't it?
It's great because in Iowa, most of the places where you go, you are traveling the number of miles and the number of minutes. So if you're needing to go 60 miles, it will take you approximately 60 minutes because we don't have the traffic problems that some of the more urban areas do. So there's that
That's awesome.
time. Like,
yeah, no kidding. And then you contrast to it like a big city where 5 miles is like 35 minutes, 45 minutes.
yep. Sometimes.
That's awesome. Well, do me a favor. Just introduce yourself real quick. Tell us about, life in Iowa. Tell us about how I'm interested. Like, how does one become a professional copywriter? Like, how did you get here?
Yes, exactly. So about 6 years ago, I had a little at-home business doing promotional materials for cattle auctions. I don't know if you knew that about me, but I had done that for 16 years. It was a business that somebody had kind of passed on to me. I didn't love it, but it was what it was. And then one day I heard that the client that held 80% of our contracts, and so 80% of our income, was retiring, like effective immediately. So that really was the push I needed to get myself out there and figure out what other ways are people doing to generate income from home. I had 2 kids. We had just pulled them out of school to homeschool. I had just retired my husband. So it was one of those situations where you're like, you need to figure this out or you're going to be commuting an hour both ways every day and finding it, to go out and get a job. And I had always been good at writing. And so I started learning about all things digital marketing. I started kind of looking into different ways to serve people from where I was. And one of the things that I was just really good at was creating messaging for helping people sell more of their products and services. And so in 2019, I went all in and hung up my shingle as a sales copywriter. And it's been a wild, amazing ride ever since. So I've been very blessed to be able to work with some amazing business owners and entrepreneurs and influencers throughout the years, and also coach inside some masterminds and coaching programs that are full of entrepreneurs and business owners who are looking to get better results with their copy. And honestly, the coaching and teaching part is probably my favorite. Although I will always love writing and I always will take on clients. I'm fortunate to be able to do a little bit of both.
That's cool. It's such a cool journey. It's just similar to almost every other entrepreneur. Like, we're not born like, I can't wait to start my own business and take over the world, whatever. Like, there's usually some type of event or something that happens, and then we find ourselves in like, wait, what? How did I get here? This is wild.
Right, exactly. And I always say I was not the person that was ever thinking, I want my own business. I want to be I don't want to be in charge of running a business. Not at all. But when I found something I loved doing, it became a no-brainer. Like, if I can generate income doing this and I enjoy it, then this is a great fit for me. And it really is.
That's cool. Well, I want to talk about what is copy, what is copywriting. Like, it kind of established the foundation, because you mentioned it. I know you've worked with some like very influential people. Let's just call it that, right? And in my mind, as an ignorant person, like, why would someone with so much status and so much of a big following, like, they don't need a copywriter. They could say anything and people are going to buy. But yet we have the most influential people investing in you to help them grow their business. That like, there's like a big, bell going off in my head. Like, wait a minute, if they're hiring her and they already have this huge following, why wouldn't I hire her or someone like her to be able to help me grow my business? So let's talk about, what is copywriting? Why should someone even, like, what role does it play in marketing and all this stuff?
Right. So copy is basically the words that people use to get their message out about their brand, their personal brand or their business brand, and talk about the products and services that they sell. The copy is the written part of that. So it's what you see on websites. It's what you see in Facebook ad videos and Facebook ads and sales funnels and the flyers that you hang up, and the words make up the message that catches the attention of target audiences and leads them to the conclusion that what you have is what they need. The reason why hiring a copywriter is a great decision in many cases is that it frees up the business owner to do what they're really gifted in inside their business, instead of chaining them to their laptop trying to figure out what to say in their next marketing piece of material, whether it's an email or their website. It gives them the ability to really masterfully communicate with their audience, because a copywriter is an expert in research and reading the audience and reading the data and knowing what moves people to sale, while they're then able to put more of their time and energy into what they do the best inside their business.
I love that. When you're talking, I thought of the book Who Not How,
Right.
which talks about that. It's like, we're always like, okay, how could I grow my business? Or, how could I grow my business? Oh, I'll do Facebook ads. Oh, I'll do emails. But it's like, but who can do that for you effectively? Because I know, like, Facebook ads, for example, you have one client who's like, oh my gosh, Facebook ads kill it for me. And then the next person's like, man, I did what they did. I used a photo similar to theirs and I did the ad. And then you look at the copy and it's completely different. And it's like, well, there you go. There's one, that may be one reason why it's not converting as well. So I think that speaks directly to a message that resonates with me, is we're trying to find those who's out there, and the copywriter is definitely the way to do that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's in many cases, it's not that the client is bad at writing or that they can't write. In many cases, it's that they know that their time is best leveraged somewhere else, and that they can actually generate more income by having an expert come in and take that piece of what needs to be done while their time and attention is elsewhere.
So how do you know if you're a good copywriter? So let's say maybe I am good at copy, but I shouldn't do it because I should spend my time doing something else. But I think in a lot of cases, people aren't as good at copy as they think. You're just being nice. But what makes a good copywriter, whether it's us or we hire someone? How do we know?
The way you know whether or not your copy is good or whether it's working is you put it in front of your target audience or your ideal customers and let them vote with their money or their actions. So if you put something out there, maybe some Facebook ads, and it's copy driven, and you don't get a lot of clicks, you don't get a lot of opt-ins, you don't get any sales, then you want to take a look at that and say, okay, I didn't create the message that my audience really needed. It didn't grab their attention. Let's go back to the drawing board, or let's find somebody who can help us get a better result with that. But if you are finding that whenever you post, people comment, the promotions that you put out get the kind of response that you want at industry level conversion or above, then you can know that you're on the right track. You have targeted the right people and you've really dialed in on exactly what they need to hear right now in order to take that next step with you.
Okay. Can we talk about the framework? I don't even know if it has a name, but it's just like a standard framework, like hook, story, offer.
Yep.
Because I think what some people, I don't think they know about copy. I really don't think they do, because they'll do a thing and then they'll be like, yeah, it didn't work. And so I'm going to change.
Right.
They go immediately to changing their offer. Like,
Mhm.
well, I offered
Mhm.
10% off, so let me try 20%. And what I'm hearing you say is like, that may not be true. It may just be like, well, you tested it, it didn't work, so you got to change your copy.
Right. And you have to be able to dial it back to where things broke down. So if they didn't buy and it didn't work, the offer isn't the first thing that they see. They may have never even made it to the point where they see the offer. If somewhere along the line, the copy just felt disconnected to them and it didn't catch their attention. So the first thing that you have to be aware of in that formula, and any formula for copy really, is that hook. It has to be that first thing that comes out of your mouth, or the first thing that they read has to be something that grabs their attention with where they're at right now and makes them want to click, to read more, to keep watching. That's really what tells you, okay, the hook, it got them, it got the click throughs, people watch the video. Now let's move on to the next piece. And you look at that and you say, okay, now once people got to the next step, did they do the thing that I asked them to do? And you kind of take it piece by piece like that. And a copywriter is trained to be able to take a look at those benchmark areas and work towards finding those gaps and the holes and optimizing and filling it. So you're not completely going back to the drawing board every single time something doesn't work. You're just looking for those red flags and then going in and fixing it.
Cool. I like that a lot. And so I'm thinking as a hook, just to kind of give an example, like would be like an email. Your hook is like your subject line. And
exactly.
You're like, oh man, I sent the email and no one liked the offer, but it's like no one opened your email.
If nobody opened it, it was the hook.
Let's start with the hook, right?
Yep. Start
Okay,
with,
cool.
yep.
And
First step, get people to open it. Second step, get people to click on it. Third step, get people to do the thing on the page.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Great. So what makes up a good hook? You mentioned some things, but like, a lot of times for me, my natural is just like, we're awesome, like straight to selling, but like, what makes up a good hook?
So there are three main hook formulas that I think anyone can master. The first one is a pain-based hook. This one will work well the best on people who are cold to the idea of either you and your business or what your business does. They maybe have a problem, but they're not aware of what's causing it or how they can fix it. So a pain-based hook might say something like, how many times have you tripped over your kid's baseball bat on your way from the garage to the house? Isn't it time you do something about your outdoor lighting situation? That would be a pain-based hook, because that's a problem that maybe they've experienced, or even if they haven't experienced it, they can see that in their head. Like, nice. Oh yeah. Or, your elderly grandma comes to visit and she trips on her way up the stairs. Who wants to pay for that hospital visit? Things like that, like It brings the attention to the problem by focusing on a pain-based situation that they either have experienced and didn't like, or they totally want to avoid. The second type of hook that is really effective is more for people who are familiar with you and your business and what you do, and it's the results-based hook. So this is the more positive hook. So it would come in and talk about the benefit that they could receive. So if you're running a special, you would lead with that, like save 30% during the month of March when you upgrade your outdoor landscape lighting system transformer. That would catch their attention, like save money. Yes, please. Now that's only going to work on people who need an upgrade, but it's for people who are aware of what they need, what their problem is, and how they can solve it. The third type of hook that is really effective too, I call the shock and awe. And that is anything that creates an emotional response of any kind that gets people to stop and read. Like they can't help but read it. So it might make people laugh. It might make people mad. It might make people angry or confused. But whatever it is, it grabs their attention and gets them to keep reading. So for you guys, an example of a shock and awe hook might include, my employee never wants to see this again on the job. You can't not.
That's intriguing. Yeah, it's intriguing.
I wonder if I have that. Oh my gosh, if a lighting expert comes to my house, are they going to see that? You have to know, right? So those are 3 simple hook formulas that really anyone can master, that work no matter who you are, what you're selling, or who you're selling it to.
That is seriously gold. I want to, you just said it because this is what you do and it's just real easy for you, but I want to pause and reiterate a couple things, because the tendency is we don't know. We just do a hook or a story or offer, maybe none of it, and we're just talking about the problems to the wrong audience, or we're talking about the benefits to the wrong audience. I think getting clarity on that is going to be huge for people to be like, okay, if you have a cold audience, they don't know who you are. That's when you're talking about the problems of tripping and someone getting hurt and not getting robbed and murdered in your house because you don't have lighting. And then once people do know you, that's when you go into the benefits. And I think a lot of people are doing it actually opposite right now. They're trying to get into the benefits right now before they're even solving the problem, you know?
Right. And when you hit the awareness of the audience at the wrong time, I like to compare it to, imagine you're going on a safari in the jungle and you've gone on this safari before. You know the route, you're the guide, no big deal. And somewhere along the line, you lose all the people that you were supposed to be guiding and you get separated and you end up across the rope bridge and they're still over here and you can see them and they're freaking out because little Timmy is wrapped up by a boa constrictor and getting pulled up and the monkeys are throwing poo and they have no idea where they are, how to get out of it. Now, if you as the guide stand on the other side of the rope bridge and wave your arms and try to get their attention and, hey, come on over here, guys, it's really great. They can't even hardly hear you because they're too busy dealing with the poo and the snake, right? You've got to go to where they are and take care of the monkey poo and the snake first before they look at you like, oh my gosh, thank you. You totally get us. You understand the problem we were having. Now we're going to follow you because we know that you know how to get to where we want to be.
That is seriously so good. I'm hoping that people are taking notes right now because everybody is screwing this up royally.
Copy equals monkey poo. No, I'm just kidding.
Moral of the story.
Moral of the story, don't throw poo.
You definitely don't want to throw monkey poo or have monkeys throw it at you. I mean,
but yeah, when people feel like they're just dodging problems left and right, they don't have the capacity to look at the declaration of what the solution is until they know that the person really gets the problem that they're going through.
Oh, I love that.
The person who can describe the problem the best is the person they'll trust to lead them to the solution.
I love this. I would never just think like that naturally because that's not my mind. I'm not a copywriter, right? I'm just thinking of like sell, grow the business, profitability, all these other things. So one thing I like about the process, and this is cool because Christa and we're in the same mastermind right now. And we didn't know that we were going to be in the same mastermind, but we had met it was like 3 years ago, I think we figured
It
out.
was at least, yeah, if not more.
Maybe
Yeah.
more. And I had hired Christa. She was just a random person at that point, but I still remember the entire process because that was the first time I had hired a copywriter. I'd always just done things on my own. And it was such a cool experience because you had this, like, it was like, hey, I want to hire you. How do I give you money? And you're like, no, no, no. And we get like on a phone call and there's like this huge interview process. And like, I'm like, wait, what? This, like, just write this thing, just like write the sales page. And it was so cool because you got in my head, you asked all these questions. And then I immediately saw the value because you were already asking questions about these things, which I didn't know that it was a framework. I didn't know anything about it at the time, but we had like sales page, we had emails, we had different things written for cold audience and warm. And you were asking me about after someone hears about you, then what's the next step? I mean, it's all these just fascinating questions. And I'm thinking now in my mind, like, how many people have ever gone through that process? Like, probably very few percentage of people have hired a copywriter.
Yeah, and really it just makes a difference to the copywriter. Do they have a set process for getting the information that they need, or are they just kind of slinging it from the hip? You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you do see that a little bit. So when you're interviewing copywriters, you want to make sure that they're asking you the right questions about your business. Those will be like those little tells that indicate, okay, this person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. Do you have, I don't know if you have a few sample ones. I don't know if they're
Sure.
like standard ones or not, but like, what are some things that you ask to get the nitty gritty from your clients?
So I ask them who they sell to, who is your ideal customer. I want to know if they have a good understanding of who they're marketing to. If they say something like, everyone wants my product, then I have to pause a little bit and start there, because honestly, unless you're selling water or toilet paper, it's unlikely that everybody wants your product, right? So that tells me how we need to go into a little bit more of the messaging and exploration, how much of that process I'm going to need to lead them through. I also ask, is this a new offer or have you marketed this before? That tells me whether or not I can get some data on how it converted in the past, what their audience thought of it, what their buyers said about it. It lets me know if there's anything, if we can test against what's worked or if we're just starting from brand new. And then the last question I ask, not the last question, but the question I ask that probably is the biggest surprise to clients, I would say, is if they say, yes, I have offered this before, I say, okay, how did it perform? Like, how were your email open rates? How was your conversion rate on your sales calls? Like, what were your stats? And a lot of them are like, oh, I've never had a copywriter ask me that before, because copywriters don't often ask that. And I'm not sure why. All my trained copywriters do, because that's the only way you can know if something's really working and how to replicate that and to scale. So if you have an offer that's working and you can tell because of the conversion rate and the data and how much it brought in, and you know those numbers, then you know how much you can afford to acquire a customer and what makes sense for profitability. If you don't, you're just guessing, and that becomes, a more of a difficult thing to get off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's great. So what types of different projects would a landscape lighting business owner, that's primarily the people, or just, home service business, what types of projects would they hire a copywriter for? We mentioned a couple so far, but what are the main ones?
Well, I think first and foremost, they're going to want to start growing an email list so that they have a way to connect with the people in their local area and communicate with their clients and prospective clients. So email sequences are always a really big email newsletter. So if they, on a weekly basis, send out tips and tricks and benefits, just different reports on lighting, they might have a copywriter that helps them put that together. They also want email sequences to help nurture new people on their list to become customers. So
Can
that's one
we talk about
thing.
that for a minute?
Yeah.
Because I don't think most people know what an email sequence means. Most
Sure.
people, if they have a list, they have a list, and then that list just gets all the stuff. It could be like, hey, we got a new team member. Oh, hey, we're doing this project. But what is the difference between that and an email sequence to nurture a lead from Facebook, for example?
Sure. So the difference between just straight up emails and email sequences, it's kind of like if you met somebody at the park and they sat down next to you and they shoved a brochure in your face and they said, "Hey, I sell Mary Kay, buy some." That would be that would be like your straight up email. Some people will say, "Oh, great, I've been looking for Mary Kay. Awesome, I'll buy some." Other people would be like, "I don't even wear makeup. Like, go away." The nurture sequence would be that person sitting down next to you, talking to you about, what they notice that you have. "I really like your lipstick color," whatever. They're noticing things about you. They're giving you information that is helpful to you. They're actually forming like a relationship, telling you a little bit about themselves. And that is kind of what an email sequence will do. It helps introduce you and your company to your target audience, helps build a relationship and connection and trust with them, so that when they come to the realization, "Hey, this lighting is what I need," you are that person. You're like the only person they want to go to because you've been there for them. You've shown them that you care about them, that you provide valuable information, and that your services are good. So yes, both types of email work. Just one helps nurture more relationship on a longer term basis.
I love it. And the sequences are just, there's so much more intention to them. That's why that's the benefit of getting a copywriter, because those are, I remember, like, I mean, you ask questions and like, well, who are you? Like, why do you exist? What do you do? How do you serve your client? And you're able to answer all those questions through the sequence as people, go through those and stuff. So, how often should people be emailing a list?
Well, it depends on if you're starting a brand new list, I would say probably once a week or once every other week in the beginning, unless you plan on having a really frequent email. Like, email's your thing, you want to email them often, then you can start off from the very beginning with, your couple times a week or whatever. But in general, for a home service-based business, you want to stay on the radar. Like, you don't want to fall off the map and have them just randomly forget who you are when the time comes. So once a week, twice a month, it's a good idea. When you're doing a nurture sequence, though, when they're new on your list, I recommend every 2 or 3 days in that period, because you're trying to build that relationship in that shorter period of time in preparation for making an offer to them. So if you space it out too long, then they're not as warm when you make an offer to them.
Cool. That's huge. I think that's huge, because a lot of people, again, they just go back on the regular list. They get once a week, if that, once a month, and then there's just not enough to build, warm them up and have that continuity that you're talking about. So every 2 to 3 days is good. And then how often should you make an offer?
I like, for home service businesses, I say lean into what's going on in your area, what you know about buying behavior. When are people actively buying your services? If you live in a cold weather state, you're going to have to get creative about what you send out in the wintertime. So it might be more like maintenance or upgrades, whereas total installs, you would want to focus more on that in the warmer months when it's not negative 25 below like it is in Iowa. It feels like cold. It's not yet, but it will be. But I would say look at what's going on in their lives, look at what time of year it is. So you'll have certain times a year, like May, early June, people are getting ready to fire up the barbecue. They're getting ready to host the graduation in their backyard. Get ready to make those offers, 60 to 30 days ahead of that, so that they can get booked in when the time is right. Like, opportunity is very time related. And so look at what's going on in your community. Does your town have a festival that everybody's out and about? They want to make sure their landscaping looks great, so that their neighbors aren't like, "Oh, I can't believe so-and-so, like the homeowners association is knocking on your door." Yeah. So just take advantage of the opportunities of what's current and what's going on right then. I would say an offer, it just depends. I mean, you have more high ticket for landscape lighting. So it's not like you want to be making an offer every single day, but I would say at least once a month, you need to have something that gives them an opportunity to buy from you.
Cool. This is so good. This is so good. I know for you, you're just like an old pro at this now, and you're like, oh yeah, this is the basics. Like, this should be eye-opening for people. This should be, there's so much more intention than whatever you're currently doing. You need to get way more focused, way more specific, way more intention. That's what I'm hearing. This is so good.
Right. And it really, when you build these, they can run for you on autopilot if you have an email program that can schedule things out. So you might create an email sequence to welcome a new member of your list, and it will run for you until you decide you don't want to run it anymore. Written once, runs and can nurture thousands of people forever if you really want. So it's definitely important to invest the time and strategy in figuring out how to do it in a way that's going to get you the best returns.
One of the coolest things I personally like about email is that it's actually like you own that traffic, like
Absolutely.
right at the last year, people have been complaining to me about Google and Facebook, and like, it doesn't work as well as it used to. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I try harder. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know how to crack the code, but this is, once you get someone in your list, like, you can make them an offer once a month. You can keep them, and they can unsubscribe for sure. But as long as they don't, it's your traffic. So I love emails.
I do too. It really is. It's really important. I think the thing that you can count on with social media and the web platforms is the algorithms are always shifting and changing, and they don't necessarily tell you when that's going to happen or how it's going to affect you. You just kind of have to hang on and live through it. Whereas your email list is your email list. You can reach out to them for free, just by sending an email anytime you want to.
That's awesome. So I don't know. I probably should have asked you this before. This is one of those things when you do a live show, you're like, oh yeah, I should have done this. But so either if you have a case study or if you have some guidelines, some expectations, some projects you've worked on where conversions went up because they hired you, or open rate or sales, what I just kind of want people to understand, like, the true effect of working with a professional copywriter versus just doing it on their own. Any type of numbers you can share with us or case study, anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a client that was selling, I believe it was like an $8,000 offer. And this was something that they offered every year. And they always emailed their list about it. They ran some ads and different things. And they hired me to update the emails, to write new emails for this particular offer. And they were only going to send it to their email list this time. And it was kind of like not the same time of year that they usually did it, because they were planning on moving and they wanted to put down a down payment on their dream house in Boise. And so I wrote this email sequence for them. They sent it out. And when the whole thing was said and done, they had sold more of that $8,000 package in that one campaign than they'd sold any 1 year period previously. Like, we broke all the records for that. They had no problem making a $150,000 down payment on their dream house in Boise, Idaho. And I just remember thinking, that's amazing. Like, I love that so much. That just changed their life. It changed the lives of their customers. I also train copywriters. So I teach copywriters how to write for conversion and land clients themselves. And one of my students, her husband owns a power washing business. And she started going through my trainings and using my strategies for email. And she was writing sequences for him. And after that point, so she had always had, pretty decent open rate, even 20%-ish. Once she started going through the trainings and writing the emails, they were getting 30% open rate, 40%, 50%. They even had a 60% open rate for their Christmas campaign for Christmas lighting. So they do Christmas lights in the wintertime. And she had written 3 emails to promote the last few spaces that they had. I think they had like 14, enough to do 14 more installations. And they only had to send out the one because then they were all booked.
That's great. That's awesome.
Tens of thousands of dollars just because the strategy that they used for email was exactly what the audience needed right then.
That's so cool. Well, I think some of the hesitancy that comes with someone even thinking that they might need a copywriter is maybe they've sent an email out before and had success, and they're like, well, yeah, I already know how to write emails. And I think that if they would step back and challenge themselves a little bit, yeah, you had success, but what would 10x success look like? Because I know that's how it was for me. Before I knew that you could hire a copywriter, I would do my own stuff, and I would send an email out when I had my lighting business, and I would get clients from. I'm like, yeah, I'm a badass, but I didn't look to see what the open rate and the conversion and all this stuff. It was just an email, and if I did good, it was good. But now I'm looking back like, crap, I probably left tens of thousands of dollars on the table. That's the
Maybe
cool thing.
so. And sometimes
That's the cool thing about lighting. It's high ticket. So, if you're
Right.
selling low ticket, it's hard to justify, I feel like, a copywriter, because it's like, I'm going to pay you all this money and then I'm going to sell like a $29 thing. But landscape lighting, our average ticket's $8,000 to $10,000. So it makes sense to invest in a good copywriter for sure.
Right. And when you have this packages that you're consistently selling, you can use those sequences over and over again just by making minor tweaks in the dates or seasons.
Yep. Well, I mean, I hired someone to do my copy for my landscape lighting live page, and same thing. Like we'd make tweaks to it and stuff like that, but the overall, hook, story, offer, pattern interrupts, like all the stuff is there, and we change the dates and stuff. So yeah, a lot of times you can reuse and recycle.
Mhm.
I want to bring up a topic too that I haven't talked to you about this yet, but interested in your take, because I think some people are going to hear this and be like, wait, I don't need to hire Christa. ChatGPT exists. AI. Look at this. They can build like a dream house with ChatGPT and build their own airplane to fly in and all this other stuff. So what impact is that having on you as a copywriter?
So honestly, I feel like ChatGPT is a great tool. I use it for brainstorming. I use it for frameworking. I ask it questions all the time. But as of yet, I have not seen it be able to produce brand specific copy that's really connective for people. So I might ask it for some headline ideas and take, little piece of this, piece of that. It's a great way to get started without having to start with a blank page. But you have to go in and edit for your own voice. You have to go in and make sure that it makes sense for the people that you serve, because it's going to spit out some grammatically correct stuff, but it might not sound like a person who really cares about who they're serving.
Yeah, I think when it first came out, I remember even seeing posts or comments or something like that, like, oh man, this is going to kill the copywriting industry. And then lately, I feel like the vibe is actually the opposite. It's helping the copywriting industry, because it gets people to like a regular business owner who would never hire a copywriter to be like, you know what, now we can start doing emails, we can do this. And so it gets their feet wet, and they do it, and then they realize, well, it's not exactly what we want, so let's hire a copywriter. But it's already proven the value enough to them that it does make sense to do these strategies. But
right, or maybe it gets them to the point where they can actually have the budget to hire somebody.
Yeah, I love that.
At least it helps them get started doing something they hadn't tried before.
Yeah, that's why I think it's actually going to help your industry, the copywriting industry, because it's going to get a lot more people exposed to doing things that they weren't even going to consider before because of the lack of time. They don't know the value yet. They don't have the money, so they do that. And then, like you said, it generates enough profit for them to be like, oh, well, cool. Now I can actually hire a pro to do it.
Right.
And then speaking of, how do you hire? Like, how do you find a good copywriter?
So you ask around. I would go into groups where digital marketers hang out, so the big software companies like ClickFunnels or the marketing groups, and say, I'm looking for a copywriter. Who do you recommend? Or search the comments for copywriter, and you'll see people get mentioned over and over again by multiple people. Those are the ones that are
Christa Nichols.
There are some groups where my name does come up a lot because I've served a lot of people in those communities, but it does make a difference. It gives you a little bit of like foundation for, okay, this person has a lot of recommendations. It seems like people enjoy working with them. they might be worth reaching out to. I'm not saying go hire that person, but it gives you kind of a way to gauge who is reputable, who knows what they're doing. Don't go into the copywriter groups and do it, I would say, because everyone in the copywriter groups are looking for clients, and you'll get people of all skill sets and varieties, and it's really hard to tell like who, because everybody wants the job, right? So it's hard to tell who would be a good fit or not. And then pay attention to the questions they ask you. If they don't ask you who you serve, if they don't ask you what you've done to market XYZ offer in the past, then that tells me they're maybe not quite up on how digital marketing or paid traffic works as well. Maybe they're more focused on the content side with blogging and social media captions and things like that you don't have to have as deep of a knowledge of sales psychology and who your audience is. So yeah, you can look for those little signs. And of course, always ask, can I see your portfolio? They should have a portfolio with some work samples that you can review and feel free to ask questions about as well.
Love that. Very cool. Let's talk about, as we kind of get closer to wrapping this thing up, you've got a program where you teach people how to be copywriters and help get them work and stuff like that. Wordy Mamas.
I do. Yeah.
And you mentioned, it's kind of interesting because a lot of people that listen to the show were pressure washers that got into Christmas lights that are now getting into landscape lighting. Like there's this weird flow that happens. And I was thinking of that. Like my main goal to have you on here was to promote copywriting and help you promote your services and stuff, because I believe in it. But then I was like, man, I'll bet there is a lot of people who either themselves are listening going, man, on the side, I love writing. This is like my thing, or their spouse or their girlfriend or their boyfriend, their husband, whoever it is, right? There's probably people out there listening to this right now. They're like, dude, I would love to do that and be a freelance copywriter. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have Wordy Mama Copywriting Academy, and I also have a sales copywriting certification program. Both of them are geared to help equip people to be able to write for sales. Well, the certification is more towards the sales side. The Copywriting Academy is more towards building a freelance business as a copywriter. It does have some sales copy trainings in it as well. But what I've found is that many times I'll have people come to me and say, I just want to be a better writer for my own offers, or I just want to help my husband or my wife get better results in their business. And so they'll go through the trainings, and every single person it makes a huge difference. Like they're able to then step in and brings them closer as a couple, because now they're more invested and involved in the business, whereas maybe they didn't really feel like they had a place in it before. And they all see, a big leap in their marketing and how well it performs, as well as like the revenue for their business, just because they understand now how to communicate with their buyers and how to, build that relationship and trust and become that business that this is the go-to for landscape lighting in the area. Like these are the guys that you want to work with type of.
That's way cool. Okay. So what we're going to do is we'll put some links in these videos. And then if you're listening to the podcast, we'll put some links in the description and stuff too. So the Wordy Mama, it's wordymama.com, but you've got is that the one you're going to do the free masterclass?
Free training. Okay. Yes. So wordymama.com/WMCA-free-training is going to give you my 3-step framework for making money from anywhere as a freelance copywriter, even if you're a brand new beginner.
That's so cool. I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to do that, because just like you explained, like whether it's a partner or a spouse or, the friend or whatever it is, there's going to be people that would love to be involved in business and not really sure how. And this is a great way for them to contribute.
Some of my students come because they know they don't want to be a service business owner forever, but they've successfully run one and have a lot of knowledge of the industry. And they see copywriting as a way that they can serve other people with the same kind of business that they had by offering copywriting services to them, and so for them, it's like an investment in their future once they step out of that business service-based business owner role, it's a transition into something that is still involved in the industry and still pulls from their expertise and the history that they have with it, and can help them make more money without the physical labor anymore.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. So we'll put a link in the description and comments and all that stuff. And then you're also going to give away a free PDF, right?
Yes, I have a free PDF. We talked a little bit about how important it is to start growing an email list, which means you're going to need a way to capture those emails. And that means you need a landing page. And landing page is just a really simple page that offers some value in exchange for their email address. The resource I'm going to give you today is a PDF guide that walks you through 5 steps to creating landing page copy that converts like crazy, so that you can create a landing page that people cannot wait to trade their email address in return for becoming a member of your email list.
Guys, this is so good. Please take advantage of this, you guys. Take advantage of the free stuff she's giving you, because I look at my business, this Landscape Lighting Secrets was started with just a landing page. And if you go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, you'll see it's just like name and email, and I'm gonna get your guide too, because I probably only did like one of the 5 steps. But it's so important, you guys. So thank you so much for both of those opportunities. I really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
Before we wrap up, I have one final question, and it's just to help us as entrepreneurs, because I'm super impressed with your entrepreneurial journey so far. And what's been the hardest part? What's been the hardest part of being an entrepreneur for you?
I think the hardest part for me in the beginning was just believing that I could, because I did not have a frame of reference for being a business owner when I first started out. And so I grew up in a really rural area. I graduated from a high school graduating class of 31 students. I went off to college, I got my degree, and I came home and wanted to find a way to work from home so I could be there with my kids. And when my previous business ended, that was a huge blow for me. And I just really struggled to figure out if I was cut out for this, if I could do this. And really the key to it for me was finding what I loved doing and didn't feel like work. And for me, that was sales copywriting and helping other people learn how to grow businesses as freelance copywriters. That made all the difference for me. I'm still maybe not like super business savvy, but I love what I do and I do it really well. And that has been the key to me overcoming that. Do I know how to do all the things? No, but I can learn. I trust that I have the ability to learn, and I will figure it out as I go.
So cool. You are awesome. You're an inspiration. You've been able to take this passion of yours and now turn it into a full-time business. Check out Christa's stuff, you guys. She's got an awesome husband. She's got goats. She's just got the dream life going on. So
I have a puppy.
Oh, then just a puppy, of course, just out of door. That's so funny.
Copywriters have puppies. Just kidding. I don't know if they all
be
do
friends
that.
with Christa. Be friends with her on Facebook too, because I don't see all your stuff, but when I do, it always cracks me up. What was the one thing you did? It was like, I don't know, just time with goats, or what's it called?
Oh,
I don't remember. It was
Good News Goats.
Oh, Good News Goats.
Good News Goats. Yes.
Like if you're having a bad day, just go search for Good News Goats.
Type in Good News Goats, because every once in a while, if there's bad news going on in the media, we'll go out and we'll do an interview with the Good News Goats.
Yeah.
They're so
all right.
ridiculous.
So check out Christa's stuff. We'll put the links in. Thank you, Christa, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Have an awesome week. Don't forget to follow Christa Nichols. Go get the free 5-step guide and go get the free training on wordymama.com. We'll put the link in the comments. Have a great week, everyone.